Now, let's be clear. The United States is not under attack. These are not zombies. That term is outdated and offensive. The term is reanimated Americans.
It is I, the Poptimist, and today we have Carson Bull. Carson, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So last night I came out to see you play at Rippy's.
Yeah.
And it was an event to behold.
It wasn't exactly a cookie cutter night.
Yeah.
By any means. There was some shit. I actually didn't even check. Am I allowed to cuss on here?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, there was a fight. There's a dude threw up on himself, got taken out on a gurney. Crowd was kind of off and on at first, and we got him. But it was fun. I got to play with you for a few songs. So that was fun.
Man. It was super fun.
And then immediately after, a fight broke out.
Yeah. Well, so like I came up for 2 songs to just to play with you guys, and I wanted to come out and hear you guys play because I knew we were doing this today. And while we were there, I didn't see it go down, but I turn around and I just see a dude horizontal in the air, and he knocks over a stool.
You missed the woman getting just absolutely decked.
Yeah.
I was like, the Titans need to call that woman because she needs to play outside linebacker because she came flying in like double arm. That woman hit the ground so fast and so hard, and then she without missing a beat turned around and just decked her husband, like who I ended up finding out was her husband. Just decked him like right across the face, and he hit the ground.
Yeah.
It was just a piece of shit.
That was right when I had turned, and I was like, what the fuck is going on right now?
Well, because the first one I saw happen, I'm like, what the hell is that woman's problem? And then I found out what actually was going down, and I was like, hell yeah, you should have hit him like a couple more times, or called us over.
Well, to add to this situation, you guys were playing "Mama Tried."
Yeah, we're in the middle of
Haggard.
playing Merle Haggard, and we're vibing. Like a group of like Texans came in, and they were like, play something we could dance to. So we're playing like Merle Haggard, like we play some Waylon Jennings and stuff like that. And like halfway through that, who I ended up finding out was this man's wife. So they got in a fight, apparently, from what I heard from the managers and like security guards and bartenders. This man and his wife got in a fight at the Jason Aldean concert, which, I'll keep my tongue tied about, the reputation of Jason Aldean fans. But they got in a fight. This is his wife that he also has 5 kids with. He leaves the concert, goes to Broadway. He has the hotel room key. She spends all night looking for him on Broadway, tracks him down at Rippy's, goes up to the roof. I don't know why that was the first place she went. Must have gone to like the back entrance. One of the barbacks goes, I think I've seen that guy. He's downstairs.
Because she was showing a picture to everybody.
She was showing a picture to everybody, and like she had ran into other bars where like, yeah, he was with some girl earlier, so apparently like that was.
And we saw them like grinding on each other, and
like she was fully giving a like lap dance. And
yeah.
Then, they disappeared. They went to the bathroom, and I was like, oh no. And then they came out, and they're being all lovey-dovey at the bar. I thought they were just a couple or like, people hooking up at a bar, which just like you see.
Josh raised his eyebrows. He
like,
looked over at me, and we had a moment.
Uncomfortable PDA.
Yeah.
And apparently she was like watching him from the stairs.
His wife was.
His wife was watching them.
This guy with some
random woman
on Broadway.
Yeah, and apparently she had enough, and you see her storm in and just deck this girl, immediately turn around and deck the guy, and then she gets kicked out. And then they're going at it from the window because she's like watching.
Well, she stands because like Rippy's the way that it is. All the windows are open. It's right on the corner.
So they're just going at it through the windows. And then the girl that she decked, like the wife decked,
she started to
climb out the window.
Yeah.
And the wife is just like not even trying to engage with her. She's trying to talk to her husband, and he's like like a coward, just like turning around away from her. And like she's like, "You have the hotel room key," like just going at it. And I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah.
And then everyone else in the room is like, the bartender's looking at us like, just play something. We're like, what do you want us to do?
You did right after that. You
did guitars and Cadillacs.
Guitars and Cadillacs, and then you're like, we need to change the tone in here a little bit, and you did On the Road Again by Willie Nelson.
I was like, let's do something a little happy for a second.
We're gonna make something calm right now.
I was like, we need something a little bit more chill, because everyone was just watching this like it was a soap opera, and I was like, honestly, yeah, don't pay attention.
Well, it was right in the center of everything, right next to the stage too.
Yeah, it was wild. But yeah, that, and then some dude drank past his limit, fell asleep on the bar. Security lifted him up right as they lifted him up. I think it was before you got there.
Yeah,
and then like instantly threw up all over himself right when they lifted him up. They took him out in a gurney, and I was like, what the hell? It was just something in the air yesterday. It was just a recipe for disaster. But it was a good night.
Well, you did Better Off in Blue.
Better Off in Blue is like a love note to like the Free Will and Bob Dylan and Waylon Jennings. It's kind of lyrically, it's a bit heavier than the instrumental that's on. It's kind of just like, feeling apathetic and like weighed down by things that you don't really know how to face. Excuse me. But kind of like also the part of you where it's like, maybe I'm just better off this way. Maybe I'm just kind of like, this is just how I am. Maybe I'm just like always kind of like lethargic and sad. I really think it was originally like kind of a very much like Dylan-esque like harmonica guitar, and it was way slower. And then right as I was getting to record it, I had been talking to Colin, being like, dude, I need some more, like, for the sake of like an original set, I need some more of my songs to be fast. And then he was like, yeah, definitely, you should try to look at like writing some faster stuff. And then I played my girlfriend Better Off in Blue. And this was right after she heard Tomorrow, and Tomorrow was getting ready to come out. And she was like, why don't you just be this one up? And I was like, she's always right about everything. I was like, all right. And it like clicked, and I was like, okay. So sped that song up. Josh brought it alive when, he's putting all like kind of that Sturgill-esque, like Waylon-esque like guitar on there.
Yeah.
Colin put like this cool kind of like shuffly, like Dylan-esque, almost like Beatles-esque groove on it. And kind of like, we kind of reformed the song. And I had Jim put like organ on it. And then there's a great bass player named Lane Faulkner that plays on it. And I just really loved the way that song came together as a song. It was fun. And it felt like something that would, sit naturally live in the set. But it's not too in your face. It's like, for me, it's like my favorite blend of like, that kind of like CCR, Eaglesy, like soft 70s rock mixed with like kind of, your like traditional country sound.
Mm-hmm.
And, the lyrics are kind of rooted in like what I've heard from like, Bob Dylan.
Can you feel the wind blowing on your face? Some things that haunt you won't ever go away. So I'll keep on running from the ghost that takes me off my 2 feet. 'Cause some things are better off not defined by truth. I can make the end I want, my mind it will be true. I'm looking for better days, you know that I've tried. I just think I'm better off in blue. Can you feel the sunshine beating on your face? Does it warm your desires and never go away? So I'll keep on running now. The future's never been too kind to me. Oh no. 'Cause some things are better off not defined by truth. I can make the end I want, my mind it will be true. Looking for better days, you know that I've tried. I just think I'm better off in blue. Better off in blue. Oh, Take all your worries now, leave them all behind. Things will get better, all in good time. So I'll keep on running from the ghost that takes me off my 2 feet. Oh, yeah. 'Cause some things are better off not defined by truth. I can make the end I want, reminded with the truth. I'm looking for better days, you know that I've tried. I just think I'm better off in blue. Oh yeah. Looking for better days, you know that I've tried. Try to see the future, but you know I can't hide. I'm looking for better days, you know that I've tried. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just think I'm better off in blue. Better off in blue.
You talk to people that are from out of town and they're like, Nashville's so amazing. What is it like to live here? I would say like that is a slice of what it's like to live here. You know, there's the tourist aspect of it, which you guys are on the front lines of because you're fucking playing down there
We're
multiple nights a
working.
week.
I will never willingly go down there.
Yeah.
You know?
Most people that live here,
It's like going to a different country when you leave like downtown.
the safety zone.
Yeah, when you like leave downtown, you're like, oh, okay, I get the appeal of this city now.
Yeah.
It's like you go somewhere like East Nashville or like, you know, even sometimes Midtown gets a bit too like,
Touristy.
yeah, I don't know. But like, I don't like to hang out downtown unless I'm working, you know, or if I'm going to like see a show or something.
So one other thing that we talked about, I wanted to save this to tell you about it. You were talking about Mickey's earlier.
Yeah.
And how you might have seen some women of the night there, some ladies of the night there.
We have noticed that I think there have been sex workers at Mickey's because like you see them like approach like middle-aged men that are by themselves and you see them do it like 3 or 4 times and you're like kind of thrown. You're like, oh, okay. But that's nothing against Mickey's. I that's like my favorite bar in all of Nashville. That's like, you know. And
it's a true Nashville dive.
Well, yeah, and like the funniest thing about Mickey's is like it's busier on weeknights sometimes than it is on weekends because all the people that go there are like either service industry workers, the musicians, and they're playing on weekends or they're working on weekends because those are their busy
So this
days.
is their weekend night.
So like, you know, Wednesday night is popping there, and you know it's great because like sometimes I don't want to go out and hear live music because it's like I'm around it all the time unless I like want to go to a show, and it's nice to like go somewhere where you can just like hang out. There's a jukebox where I can just cue up a bunch of old-ass country tunes and get drunk with my friends or then hang out and play darts with my girlfriend. You know what I mean? So it's like my favorite bar just because it's, you know, I'm not going to break the bank. And it's like that and the new one I love going to.
Skinny Dennis?
Skinny Dennis. I love that place.
I haven't been there yet.
I love it. It's great. It's like good old country western, just like the bands are fucking insane. Like I think I might be misremembering his name. The other night I was there, I saw a guy named Elijah Wyatt, I think was his name, and he had like an 8-piece band, and they were just fucking ripping, dude. I had like 1 beer when I was there, and I just wanted to just like hang out, and one of my friends hadn't been there yet, and I was just like, it's like watch that style of country music is like watching like country jazz in the sense where like, you know, they're trading solos, you know, they're just calling shit out. It's so like, it's so free-formed in the sense where like, you know, you have the song, you have the standard, but they're just playing it to play it, and it's so fun to watch that happen. And they're just so clearly firing from the hip, and it's like you could tell there's a few dudes that like got that text probably like an hour ago. They're like, oh yeah, sure, I'll play with you. I'll play pedal steel tonight, and they're just back there vibing. Like there was a harmonica player that was sitting on a stool. He was like aura farming, damn near. He was sitting on a stool. He was in jean shorts, cowboy hat, like a short sleeve flannel. He had a Guinness in one hand, his harmonica in the other. He'd like play a harmonica solo when he got pointed at. He'd sing like a few harmonies, and then he'd go back to like drinking his Guinness, and then the guy would point at him, and he'd rip an insane harmonica. So like it's like that. It's just like that and Mickey's are like my 2 favorites probably.
I have a good Mickey's story. Didn't take place at Mickey's, but I picked up a guy there one night, and he had like this fish meal, like fried fish meal. I think it was catfish or something like that. And he opened it up and he just started scarfing it. And he asked me right away, he's like, "Are you a cop?" And I was like, "No, I'm not a cop. I'm a fucking Uber driver." And
you ordered me to be your Uber driver on the app.
Yeah. He's like, "I got a pound of mushrooms if you want to buy them." And I was like, "I like mushrooms, but no, I'm good." And we were driving up to Madison.
Mm-hmm.
We stop. He wants to stop. He's like, "Can we stop at this place so I can get some beers?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." It was just like convenience store in Madison. I stop. He's in there for fucking ever, probably like 10 minutes. That's a long time
to buy beer.
Yeah, for an
if you
Uber.
know what you're going into the gas station for, no one spends 10 minutes at the gas station.
What it was, he was setting me up. This woman kept coming up to my window who was very clearly a prostitute. She had like a wig on, and she was like, "Hey, how are you?" And I was like, "Fine, thank you." She's like, "You're really cute. Are you looking for a date tonight?" And I said, "No, I'm not." She's like, "Oh, do you have a girlfriend?" And I did. And I was just like, "Yeah, I have a girlfriend." So it was weird. She was wearing like a blue wig. I was like, okay. She was clearly on drugs too. So I was waiting. This dude finally gets in. The woman gets in the car with him.
Oh, fuck no.
Yeah. So, and we were like 2 minutes away from his destination. I was like, fuck it. I don't give a fuck. We're just going to do it. He's like, "I'll give you a tip in weed. Just look the other way," basically. This dude was straight up. He was an actual pimp. So he was pimping this girl out. We pull into this apartment complex in Madison, right off Gallatin, like lower Madison. You know,
Like
the apartments are cracked out.
Not the good part of Madison. The part of Madison where you try to avoid.
Yeah.
At night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was probably like midnight. We pull in. I drop him off, and he says, "I just got to get her some vegetables and take her to church in the morning, and she'll be good as new." And I was like, fuck, that's fucking dark. I pull out, and cops swarm the place. I don't know what it was for. I got the fuck out of there. Plus, now I had weed in my car. He gave me a couple of weed nugs. The weed was really good, but he tipped me in weed.
So the cops didn't stop you when you're driving off?
No.
They're like, "This is just an Uber."
Yeah. Plus, you have the Uber sign in your window. Like, they were not there for even him. It was the kind of place something fucked up was happening.
Yeah.
There was like multiple fire trucks. Nothing was on fire, and there was no joke, probably 10 to 15 Metro Nashville PD cars that pulled in. So, but yeah, that's always my story with Mickey's. Just yeah.
Yeah. No, that's the minute. If I were you, the minute that other person got in the car, I'd be like, "Nope. Get out."
Yeah, well, it was just like in that moment, I was
they're
like,
gonna like rob you or some shit or something.
I didn't think they were gonna rob me. I could tell from this dude. He was trying to fly under the radar and get home, whatever he was trying to do. I was like, this dude doesn't want to be out anymore, because he told me he was also on mushrooms. He's like, "I'm on mushrooms and I'm drunk right now." So I was like, okay. I was like,
yeah.
If this dude tries to pull some shit, I'll be able to handle myself. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I mean, doing Uber and Lyft in Nashville is fucking crazy. There's all sorts of shit that happens.
Yeah.
I haven't had anything crazy since I've started back up. I've driven people to rehab before.
Oh.
I've driven people to divorce court. I've driven people to fucking funerals. So it's always just like, it really, honestly, man, like doing Uber and Lyft taught me to have more empathy for people, because you really don't know. You just see someone out of the grocery store during the day. You don't know where they're coming from or where they're going to. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they could be having the worst fucking day of their life.
Do they just kind of like dump stuff on you because they know they're never going to see you again?
That happens a lot too.
They feel, because I've read stories like on Reddit of people that have driven hitchhikers before. Like my friend Jim told me about it, him reading about it on Reddit, and I was like, okay. I one time got bored and went into that deep dive on Reddit of people like confessing in like the last moments of like being driven by someone that they like hitchhiked from.
Yeah.
And they just like dump these crazy stories. Like there's stories of people being like admitting to like, "I killed 2 people and then they just get out of the car.
Yeah.
Or like just admitting super dark things.
I've never had someone admit that they killed someone, but people will say a lot to you if they think they're never going to see you again.
About like their life and just dump all kinds of things.
Yeah, it's very very confessional. And like you have to try and read the room a little bit, you know? Like I'll say hello to someone, and if they don't want to talk, you can tell right away. Where it's like, hey, how's it going? And if they just say, fine, thanks.
But if they start yapping, it's like they needed to talk to somebody.
Yeah. They'll get out whatever it is that they're trying to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had people tell me some crazy ass shit, dude.
Like what?
Well, probably the craziest thing was driving that dude to rehab. Because, and I almost fucking rejected that ride, but I picked this dude up, off of like Brentwood, the old Hickory Boulevard exit where that Target is, and there's also that gas station on the corner.
Yeah.
I picked the dude up there. His brother calls me beforehand. He's like, hey, I'm going to let you know right now, my brother's drunk as shit and you're driving him to rehab.
So the brother ordered the Uber.
Yeah, and he was out in Colorado. So he was filling me in on what happened. He said, my brother just got his car stolen from this gas station. They stole his wallet. They stole his phone. He doesn't have anything. And he can't call the cops because he was drunk driving. He went to the gas station to get more beer. He called me from the phone, and I told him, I'll get you a ride, but it's going to be to rehab. So this dude gets in. He just tells me his story about, like, how he's an alcoholic. He was, like, and you know this just from playing down on Broadway. When you're talking to someone, you can tell they just don't want to be drunk anymore. Like, they're done with it.
And you can also tell some people are just starved for conversation.
Yeah.
And, like, companionship.
Yeah.
Like that person yesterday.
Yeah.
Like that guy that was there by himself all night.
That was flashing his phone at us saying.
Yeah, and like wouldn't stop talking to me.
Yeah.
For like probably 10 minutes in front of the stage. And I could just tell there was like, dude just like hadn't had like a conversation like that with somebody. And he was just telling me about his life. And I was like, you know what? Show's paused for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
The bar's half empty.
The band was playing. They were just jamming on stage.
Yeah, the bar's half empty anyway. Like, this guy just seems lonely. But so you picked up the dude.
Yeah, picked up the dude. And he was just telling me how he wanted to get sober and how he didn't want to drink anymore and how he felt like he was basically wasting his life. And I mean, this dude was probably in his mid to late 50s, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And he told me he was like a health nut, and that he's a vegan and all this stuff. And it's pouring down rain. It's one of those nights in Nashville where it's pissing rain.
So this is nighttime.
Yeah, nighttime.
Oh.
It's probably 11:30. And we drive 40 minutes one direction out to this rehab. We get there. He refuses to get out. He's like, I will go to rehab, but I don't like this rehab. Because he had been to that one before. He's like, I want to go to this one that's in Franklin. Back 60 minutes the other direction. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay. And I get his brother on the phone because this dude doesn't have a phone. So I'm talking to his brother. And they're arguing over my Bluetooth speaker. He's telling him, he's like, hey, I'll go to rehab, but I'm not going to go to this rehab. Mm-hmm. So I end up getting him there. I call his brother after. I'm like, hey, I watched him walk in. Like, they took him in. He's good. I think about that dude all the time, though. I hope he's well. I hope he got sober. He talked about how he wanted to move back out to Boulder because he really liked it there, Boulder, Colorado. Mm-hmm. And I used to live in Colorado, so we were talking about Colorado and how amazing it was and shit.
Boulder's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a cool place, man.
My girlfriend's brother lives there.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it's gorgeous. My dad lived there for a while, too. And
really?
When he got out of high school, he took like a gap year, I think.
Yeah.
If I remember right. And he lived out there and he loved it. But yeah, anywhere out west, honestly, is gorgeous.
It's majestic. And you just got back from Utah.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that. You were out on a ranch?
Yeah, so there's a ranch called KB Horses. I got hired to score a documentary they're making about an endangered horse, like species, or breed, not species. Endangered horse breed that they're trying to get off the endangered list called the American cream horse. And Ironically, it was the same ranch where my sister is a wrangler and a horse trainer. So when I got the opportunity to score it, I was like, when are you filming it? And they were like, telling me, they're like, oh, like beginning of August. And I'm like, I'm gonna come out. So they're like, well, you don't have to, like, you're just scoring. I'm like, well, like, and I also knew one of the guys who was the cinematographer for like the production company, and we go way back. So I was like, get to see my old friend that I've known since I was 15. My sister works out there. I was like, hell yeah, I'm in. So I went out there and just got to, see my sister in her element and just like see how badass she is at that, and like how much detail goes into like the care for these horses and training them and taking care of them, and then getting to like see the documentary and like the scenery and the footage and like the test footage, like the rough footage of what you're scoring, and like getting that one-on-one time with the director and getting to talk that through. It was a really fun experience. And like, other than working on that, I mean, what's not like to love? I'm riding around on horses in mountains, like in my free time, like hanging out with my sister. Like, it's awesome. It's a great time. It's beautiful. It was a great break of pace, from
being in the city and the normal
yeah,
hustle and bustle and
I
grind.
didn't grow up in the city, so like,
You grew up in Indiana, right?
I grew up in Huntertown, Indiana, which is like outside of Fort Wayne, and I grew up kind of like what my friends like to call middle of fucking nowhere, but it wasn't that like out of place, like I was like 20 minutes outside of Fort Wayne. So like we had like 30 some acres, and then there was like a 18-acre pond behind our house. So it's just kind of like that rural, like country lifestyle, which I loved. I loved it was great to like grow up in that environment, like be able to walk out your back door and go fishing. I never felt bored as a kid. And it was weird because I never really had neighbors. So I didn't really like start like going over to friends' houses unless it was like a super planned thing, until I like had a license, or like my brother could drive and he could drop me off or something. But like also like having siblings like that, even though like my sister's so much older than me and my brother's 2 years older than me, like it was always nice to just be able to like go outside. And then I moved here, and I first lived in Midtown, and I didn't realize how much I loved that lifestyle until it was gone, because there were so many things I didn't like about it at the time, especially when I got older. And when you're a teenager, you hate everything,
Yeah.
You don't want to be appreciative of anything. So I think when I moved to Midtown, like, it was really cool being in a new city and meeting new people, and like you get to know like the actual heart of the city really well when you live in Midtown. But like it was very depressing because I was like, I miss quiet, I miss peace. I miss like, the nice thing about Nashville is you can drive out and like be in a park or something. But
you
like,
could be in Tennessee quick here.
Exactly. But like, I miss being able to just like, walk out my back door.
Yeah. Pee in your own yard.
Exactly. And then I moved to East and like kind of lived in like that Shelley Bombs like area, like right on the river there. And like, that was close enough to me that I was like, okay, I can like, especially working like in the city, I felt like there was no break of it, So I felt like moving out in East was like, okay, I'm with people that are kind of my age, kind of like understand this lifestyle. I like the culture of this area. It's fun. It's still peaceful, but I can walk out my back door and there's just a yard. And if I really want to like take it a step further, there's a river right there. There's a park there. I'm not too far, but if I, need to like get into the city, I'm right there. So it was finally the point where like Nashville really started to feel like somewhere that I enjoyed living. Cause there was points at that where like, Nashville was still home, because I started dating my girlfriend when I first moved here, and that to me like immediately made it like that much more like secure and comfortable. And like, I had in that moment I was like, well, I'm not leaving now. Even if I like was unsure if I wanted to be here, I was like, I'm definitely not leaving, because like, that's my home at that point. It's not like a place, it's a person. But then I really kind of felt like I had like a place of my own in like this city where I felt like
You made a life for yourself.
yeah, I felt like I belonged, which like, you know, I moved here when I was 19.
Oh shit, yeah.
So it was weird, you know. So kind of getting into that rhythm by the time like I moved to East in like 2021, like I was 21. So it's like adjusting to kind of like finally it felt like I had, like you said, like I found my place and I was like, this is home for now. You know, like I knew at that point like who my home was as people, you know, like
It takes a minute to find you.
like I had my girlfriend, I had my friends, and then the rest of my friends from Fort Wayne that I was in Overlook with at the time, like moved down in that house too. So I was like, I have my people that are my home, but now I feel like I have a place that also feels like home.
A place to hang your hat.
Yes, it was a really like cathartic feeling. I was like, okay, everything's starting to kind of fall in place, and I'm glad I stayed here. But like I said, I didn't really feel like I ever had a choice to leave, and I was like, especially like wanting to be a musician, I was like, I gotta be here. You know what I mean? That was like the whole reason I moved here. So it's like, you know, and when I first moved here, my parents were very supportive. You know, I moved down here in 2019 to go to school. Went to Belmont for what you could call for a year. I was only there for like a semester, and then COVID happened. I got kicked out of my dorm, obviously. So I went home, and I was there basically that whole like COVID period until towards like the end of the summertime. And then summer was ending, and my parents were like, okay, so like you gonna go back down there for school? And I was like, yes and no. I was like, I want to go back, but I don't want to go back to school. And they were like, okay. You know, my parents have always been, they're not musicians, but they're very like, you know, they're very, very supportive, and I love that. And they're, even when they don't necessarily understand, my favorite thing about them is they always try to understand. You know, they're very perceptive and open to like that idea. And I remember having a conversation with my dad where he's like, well, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it, you know? And he helped me out. Same with my mom. They helped me out so much, like getting on my feet when I first got down here, more than they had to. And my dad kind of gave me that security blanket. I moved down here. I moved into an apartment that I hadn't seen with a guy that I lived next to in my dorm that was from Texas. That's now one of my best friends, Lake. And then his girlfriend that I had never met, but like had met one time when he was like FaceTiming her in our dorm. And he was like, yeah, he went down there earlier than I did. And he was like, he found this apartment in Midtown. He was like, you can move in, blah, blah, blah. Like, we signed the lease. I remember I signed my dropout papers and my lease on the same day. And my dad,
your destiny was sealed.
My dad paid my deposit. My mom and my dad paid my deposit. They, my mom and my dad looked at me and they're like, okay, you can do this. Like, if you want to do this, we believe in you. You can do this. And then there's kind of like a side conversation with my dad where he was like, you know, use this, get your footing, just do whatever you can when you get down there, get a job, even if it's something stupid, you know, that you think's below you, just get it.
Get money coming in.
And I would get really, discouraged. And I remember one point I was on the phone with my dad after like a week or two being there, and he was like, you know, you can come home anytime. You're still a kid. You know what I mean? I was 20, like freshly 20.
Yeah.
And he was like, you can come home anytime, but if you come home, you're going back to school here, you're working, you know, and you're done. Not like in a threatening way. He was just like, he's like, you can't do this thing where you're like half in, half out. And he's like, you are welcome to come home anytime.
He was basically saying, don't flip-flop.
Don't flip-flop. He's like, you're either there and I'll support you however I can when you're there, but if you want to be done and you're like, this isn't actually what I wanted, you want to come home, you're going to do it like the textbook way. Like, you're going back to school, you're going to find something to study, you're going to get a job, and eventually you'll move out and you'll live your life, you know, type thing, which is entirely reasonable as a parent, you know, because you want your kids to function and, you know, have a life and be better versions of themselves than you were, you know. You want them, the way, you know, my parents describe being a parent, it's just like, you do anything to have your kids be secure and happy. And even if it's like, you know, throwing down that hammer sometimes where they don't really understand the gravity of the situation yet.
How did you take it when he said that to you?
I wasn't offended. If anything, it was like, there was a lot of temptation in it. Because there was moments where I was working at a radio station as like an intern, so I was making basically nothing, but like I loved everyone. There's nothing against working that job, but I was, basically a coffee boy when I first started there, and like running.
That was back in Indiana?
No, that was when I first moved here.
Okay.
So I was working a job there in the mornings, and I'd have to be there at 6 a.m. and I would do that, and then that was basically like a full day. Like it'd be anywhere from like 6 to 8 hours, and then Satco, the taco shop, like on 21st by like that Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah.
I worked as a cashier there at nights. So I remember like I got so frustrated because I was like, I'm moving down here. I'm working 2 jobs just to pay my rent and pay my bills, trying to keep myself out of debt and stuff like that. And also like, starting a new relationship when I'm down here, and I feel like I'm just like, I'm failing on all ends, and I got a full-time position at that radio station. I was no longer an intern, and I was like, okay, this is great. It was at Hippie Radio, like 90.
Yeah, dude, I listen to Hippie Radio all the time.
Yeah, Tony Didier's actually, we didn't really know each other that well, but he's actually my second cousin.
Is that Pam and Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tony Richards, his real name's Tony Didier. That's my mom's maiden name. So he's my second cousin, and he owns Kensington Radio Group. So they own like, I think it's 100.7 WHIN in like Hendersonville, and then he owns Hippie Radio, and then he owns a couple in Indiana, and then he used to own Adams Radio Group in Indiana. So I got a full-time position there, and I was enjoying that. Wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do, but I was like, in my mind, I was kind of like...
You were entertainment adjacent, though.
I was entertainment adjacent, and that was good enough for me at the time, but I had more time to actually like go back to being a musician. And it was really lonely because like I went from being in a band to all of a sudden by myself. I didn't really know any other musicians. I wasn't in school anymore, so it was really weird for me to meet other musicians. And then I had a friend that was my roommate at Belmont who still lived there. His name was Christian, and he's a big like business guy. Went to business school. He graduated. He's a great guy, and he works Price is Right now. It's awesome, which is filmed in Indy. So he lives
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He met Neil deGrasse Tyson the other month. He was texting me about it. And I thought it was hilarious. But he was like helping me do stuff when we were trying to get gigs, and I was like, nothing was really landing. And like I didn't want to do Broadway because I'd heard things about it, and I'm like, I don't want to be a cover singer or whatever. And then he goes, I think you should just do it. And I was okay. And then he texted me randomly. He's like, hey, I signed you up for like the auditions at like Tootsie's. There was like an audition.
The back rooms that they do on Saturdays.
And I was like, okay, cool. And I did that. And I started playing like acoustic slots in the morning there. And then I got busy enough doing that where they were like, do you have a band? And I was like, well, at the time, like I was still in Overlook, and the guys, I got the band gig, and the guys had thought about moving to Nashville, and I was like, I found a house after looking forever. I was like, I'm moving out of my apartment, found a house. I got us a recurring gig. They moved down, I think, like within a month. And we were that was in January.
So Sam and Colin?
Yeah, it was Sam, Colin, and Jim.
So you guys all played together.
Yeah, so we did Broadway up until we parted ways, which, we were just doing that. And there's so many good things that came out of it, There's nothing like, just like, I didn't realize how much, because you're arrogant and you're young, you're like, I'm already good enough, my craft. And then, especially as a singer, you're like, I know how to sing. And then you're like, oh, I got to learn how to sing for 4 hours. Oh, well, you're singing every kind of genre when you're down there. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of...
Not just what you gravitate towards.
Yeah, but then in my mind, I was like, oh my God, like I'm finally doing music full time, which is it was like a double-edged sword, because I'm like, okay, I'm a full-time cover singer in bars. It's not really doing anything for the actual career that I want. But
you're getting better at your craft.
I'm getting better at my craft. I don't have to work in an office anymore, so I wasn't working at the radio station, although I did love working there. But I was like, I'm not like sitting behind a desk when I'm trying to like want to be an entertainer. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with people, working 9 to 5, sitting behind desks. there's nothing wrong with that at all. I just want to be an entertainer. I want to be a musician, and I can't do that sitting at a table.
Well, it's hard to balance because I was working a 9-to-5 job at this company I really loved. It was a small family-owned IT company down in Franklin, and I loved it. But there was a couple of things that happened. The first being, AI started to rise in popularity. This was probably like 4 or 5 months ago. I figured out, I'm like, oh shit, like we're right on the doorstep of mass adoption of AI.
Yeah.
To where the average person is using it. I use AI to like balance my bills and shit. And I think it's great. It's a great tool. But I was like, all of the white collar jobs that we help, like the white collar businesses, dentists, doctors, lawyers, whatever it might be, those are going to be, paralegals is another one. Those are going to be like the first jobs that really implement AI. It's going to take longer for blue collar shit to happen. We had some blue collar clients, but I did sales, so I was the one making all the calls. And there was just like a general apathy that I felt like people had. And I was like, I think there's more job security in me doing the podcast and playing music and doing whatever else I have to do than what I was doing.
You just didn't feel good about like selling something like that?
It's not that I didn't feel good about it. I was like, I don't know what the play is here. Like, I don't know what the sustainability is. Because I had probably gone on 50 or 60 appointments last year. And like I felt like I was a good salesman, but it kicked me in the teeth. We were just failing over and over and over again. And the main thing was people weren't wanting to pay for IT. They weren't wanting to shell out because like businesses, if you are a small business, like a small dental practice, and you got 5+ computers and a server, you need IT to protect your ass, straight up, because you are at a tremendous risk. Like the statistic right now, I think it's like 60% of people have some cybersecurity event if you're like a small business. And a lot of these digital criminals, so to speak, they purposely target small businesses because they know they don't have the infrastructure. Sure. Even big businesses like Ticketmaster got hit. I don't know if you saw that last year. Ticketmaster got hit. And what was so funny to me, like I want to lecture these digital pirates because they're asking for like $500,000. I'm like, no, you ask for $10 million. Ask for it in Bitcoin. You're dumb as fuck. Like, they have the money. They'll give it to you.
Ticketmaster.
Yeah.
$500,000 for a company like Ticketmaster.
It was something that it was like, and I even cracked a joke like at my office with like the other salespeople, and they all laughed because I was like, we need to teach them how to negotiate. Because
they dropped the ball on that.
Yeah, they dropped the ball.
Not encouraging them to extort people, but
if you're gonna extort someone, at least
it's an Austin Powers
make it to where
moment.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
To where you never have to work again. But morally, I felt fine with the job that I was doing. Like, I felt it was a good job. I really love my boss. I'll probably have him on here to talk about IT sometime before the end of the year. We got along great. But I was just real with him and kind of told him what my concerns were as far as AI goes, and that I felt like it was going to change the landscape of what we were dealing with. And it was crazy to me because maybe this was just a point of, I reached a certain point of like maturity in life. But before that, I had always kind of hated my jobs to a certain degree. Like, I'd always kind of hated working and resented the fact that I had to. And there was times I say that, but I always tried to do a good job. Like, I always tried to be a good employee for the most part. But like, I took a lot of pride in my work, and I fully ran into it for a year plus. And there was just roadblocks constantly. And I'm like, in my mind, I was like, well, it's hard to play music and there's roadblocks with that, but I know how to overcome those. In theory, you like just
You think you do, but something like music and entertainment, so
it's so sporadic.
there's no like set format to it.
No, but you just got to keep failing until things work out, and it's like that with everything in life.
But sometimes other things in life, at least somewhat, have like
a path,
a clear path that necessarily doesn't always behave, but at least like the steps are known. Like there's a somewhat of a roadmap.
Yeah.
Might be some detours, but at least you know where you're heading for. And like I feel like in entertainment, you know, I've said this to a bunch of people, but it's like a ladder. It's like caught in the clouds, you know? And you want to reach for the next rung, but you can't even see it. And it's not like the normal like a normal ladder where it just goes straight up. Like in this ladder in my head, it's like diagonal, it curves.
It becomes monkey bars.
It's like covered in fog. You want to reach for something and you think you grab something, but it breaks and you don't really know. And it can be very discouraging, but it's like the only solution is like what you said. You just have to just fire on all cylinders. And if you really want it, you got to be okay with failing, which is something I'm trying to be okay with.
It's hard, dude.
Yeah.
It's hard for me, and like,
because no one likes to fail, but when you realize that like you can't please everybody, you know, and if you try to appeal to the masses, you won't really resonate with anyone, you know. I'd rather play to, you know, if I play to a room of like 100 people, I'd rather like 10 people or like 15 people leave that set and be like, I fucking love that. Like, I get it. That made me feel something. Like, that's awesome. Like, I'm going to tell some people about this. You know, it's not even about that, but like that made me feel something. I felt like I connected with that. Like, there was an experience there, you know?
And that's the shit that you can't trade for anything.
No, you can't trade that for anything rather than like all 100 people in that room going, that was pretty good, yeah. But it doesn't really like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't really impact them. That they're just like, yeah, it was good because you gave them kind of what you thought they wanted to hear or what you thought they wanted rather than something genuine from yourself and getting rid of that fear of like, you know, I'm okay if not everybody, this isn't everyone's cup of tea type thing.
Well, the other thing too is with entertainment and what we do and living in Nashville, there's several different paths that you can pursue simultaneously. Yeah. You know, it's like you play on Broadway, but you also play great original music and you write your own songs and you sing and you do all that. And then you'll go down to Broadway and you'll play Mama Tried while people get into a bar fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just similar for me because it's like, and then you go play a gig in East Nashville, full band, all original. And it's just like these different avenues that you go down, which they're all satisfying in a certain way. Some more financially than necessarily spiritually or artistically. Yeah. But you start to learn how to put together your own ingredients to make your own pizza.
Yeah.
Like what toppings you want on it. It's like, okay, I want this half to be pepperoni and cheese, and this half will be anchovies and onions and green peppers, whatever it might be. But there's people that are going to be like, give me the pepperoni. And there's going to be people that are, hey, give me the anchovies and green peppers. And you can even see that with people when they come up and ask for songs, what songs they ask for.
Yeah.
You know, because there's like the old dudes that love like play Metallica, fuck yeah. Like when you guys played Inner Sandman last night, there
Twice.
was I was only there the second time, but there was an old dude that came up to the window and he was wearing a Gibson hat, and Josh was fucking shredding, and the guy was like, hell yeah.
And
he had stopped, and
it's so weird how bipolar the vibes of those shows can be, because it's like, you know, you're taking requests and it's like 1 minute. People are like, you get someone that's like, I want to hear Metallica, and next thing you know, you're playing Waylon Jennings. It's very discombobulating sometimes, because it's really hard to establish a vibe in the room, and it's also like, it's cool, because you get to see that some people just like don't even care. They just like to see music, and they like to just see people. They like to see people having fun doing it, and I think, you know, I've been writing songs since I was like 15, and I've been, you know, wanting to be a musician since I was like 10 years old. And I think the biggest problem is like, you know, letting that fun go away, you know, and that passion go away.
Well, you have to balance it between those things of being.
I don't even think it's a balance. I think you should just you have to make it a priority, you know, even like, especially on those gigs. Cause like no musician, well, I don't want to generalize, but most musicians don't want to be on Broadway their entire career. I don't. I want to be done with it at some point. I want to find the next thing. I want to take the next step in my career. But I'm, quote unquote, hiring these people to come down there and play with me, or they're taking time out of potential gigs. They could be playing times out of their lifetimes out of their day to come down there and play with me because I asked them and they said yes. And especially as like, quote unquote, like the front man and the singer, you set the vibe. You know, you can't expect everyone to carry you through. And my thing is like, I don't really care that much if like you're fucking up a few songs or something gets called that you don't know and you're just kind of stumbling your way through it. If there is a smile on your face and you show up and you are happy to be there and you're bringing good vibes, I don't care. But the minute you show up and you're just, you know, people are like, oh, what's wrong with him? Like, is he okay? Type thing. And I'm like, if
you
you're not,
see it down there.
You see it down there, and it's like, it's sad because you see like musicians that clearly like have lost the joy, you know, and it's sad, and I feel for them.
Of playing music, dude.
Of playing music.
It's
and
fun
like,
as fuck.
And it's like I don't really care, and I keep myself accountable because there's days where, you know, my voice is shot and I'm
You
tired.
don't feel like being down
I'm
there.
running on 2 hours of sleep, and I'm like, I don't want to be here. I don't feel like being social because I'm not like a super extroverted person. It's almost like a character when I'm up there. And like balancing that with being like as genuine as I can be, you know, because you're like a party host in that context, as annoying as that is. It's different than like fronting your own act.
Josh always compares it. He says, you're a stripper with a guitar.
I don't know about all that because like you can still like hold some pride and respect for yourself. It's not like I'm like selling myself. Because I try to keep some, I get what he's going at, but like keep some dignity of like, you know, I'm still my own person.
Yeah.
I don't have to do everything these people say. You know, I don't have to like give in to these heckles and things like that. Like I can still like talk back if someone's being rude. You know, I'm not like,
just
you know,
a doormat.
I'm not a doormat. You know what I mean? Like someone needs to remind them that you're a fucking human. You're not just there to entertain them. But I think you definitely have to embrace the fact that, you know, you have to bring the vibes for them. They're not going to bring it to you. You know, you have to put like that much extra effort in. And I think that's kind of like what I was leading. It's like, if you show up to there, or any gig, it's not just Broadway, in music in general, whether you're meeting with somebody to write a song, you're recording something, you know, you're doing something like this. If you're not there to have fun, respectfully fucking go home. Like, I won't be offended. Like, I'm over, like, trying to get people to play or do something that they don't want to.
Twisting their arm.
Twisting their arm. Like, I don't have time to weigh that on my conscience. Like, if you don't want to play on the song, don't play on the song.
Yeah.
If you don't want to play the show, don't play the show. I won't be offended. I would rather just know. Because I don't want to, you know, force anyone along in anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm doing this because I think it's fun and I enjoy it. And if you enjoy it, hop on in. If you don't,
Stay away.
stay away in like the nicest way. Like,
Yeah.
stay away, because like it's just like, I'm not going to force you to do it. Don't do it because you think you're doing it for me. You know what I mean? So just like, very much I'm enjoying like these songs I'm working on because they feel fun. It's something that I've been wanting to do for so long. I love folk music. I love like old country music.
Your songs are great, dude.
Thanks, man. And it feels good, and I'm having fun, and that I kind of, after transitioning out of a band, which nothing bad happened. It was just one of those things where all of us kind of had things that we wanted to do. Life was changing.
Natural end.
It was just a natural end. It wasn't like one of those band breakups where we were like throwing stuff at each other and cussing each other out. Like, we still live together. Like, we're still good friends.
You still play together.
And we still play together sometimes, you know? And like, Colin has played drums on every single song on this record I'm making, and Jim's mastered all of it, and Sam's played bass on a few of the songs, you know, and it's been fun. And it's like now when we do work together, it's because we're choosing to, not because we feel tied to a band that we formed when we were 15, and I'm 25 now. So it was like we had been a band for almost 10 years. No one really wanted to do it anymore. It just was one of those things. It just stopped. We were kind of like, it doesn't have to be a definite end. It was just kind of like, for now at least, like,
we're going on another path.
We're going on another path
In some ways together
for the foreseeable future. Everything's fine. It was rough at first. There was some awkwardness to it, like any kind of situation. There was a transition period, you know, everyone kind of catching their footing and dealing with it in different ways. But there was something beautiful about it, you know. I think we all ended up like, went away from that conversation. All of a sudden, all like 2 hours later, all of us ended up outside at the same time, and we were like, well, shit. And then, you know, so it was very much like we had to face it because we lived together, and it was one of those things that was very, like, it was very beautiful because a lot of us, like, have known each other since, like, yeah, we formed a band when we were 15, but a lot of us have known each other longer than that, you know. We're way more than friends and a little less than like blood family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like we were going to be out of each other's lives. And it was something that was very important to me making this transition where I was like, you know, I'm not doing this like out of spite, or it was just kind of like something I wanted to do. And like, I love rock music. I grew up on classic rock music, but I also grew up on folk music and like hearing my dad play old country songs, and then falling in love with them even more, getting to see them and like hear them and understand them more as I got older, and realizing like how cool they are and how much all of a sudden something clicked, and I was like, I love this, you know, because like, and I wasn't making that type of music in like Overlook, and a lot of that, like the songs I was writing, I was like kind of disguising them and like kind of facelifting them to like fit like kind of that like that alt-right context, but like it sounded like I said alt-rock context. Anyways,
that would make it a very different band.
It made a very different band. But yeah, it's been really nice, and it's like, you know, I started writing songs because of like artists like Bob Dylan, and of course like the first music I ever remember like resonating with was like the Beatles, but then also like my dad would play like Johnny Cash and stuff like that, and you know, I liked Neil Young, and
So what, classic singer-songwriters?
Yeah, classic singer-songwriter. My mom is obsessed with James Taylor, and like I love James Taylor.
Yep.
Great. And then, you know, getting more into like old country stuff and like really diving into like Waylon and Merle Haggard and like Willie Nelson and stuff like that, and David Allan Coe.
Love all the classic
like David Allan
country,
Coe, stuff like that, like Gary Stewart, Jimmy Reed, and then like I remember my dad always like playing bluegrass stuff, and then there was like modern country artists too that like blew my mind. Like the minute I actually went on a deep dive and like really, you know, got into like artists like fucking Chris Stapleton, is just like, it was like watching like the gates open when it finally clicked for me. And then artists like Tyler Childers, and then I remember even like Zach Bryan when he came on the scene, super heavy. I was like, this is awesome. And then I remember even like
Sturgill?
Sturgill's great. Love Sturgill. Even artists like the Lumineers and seeing stuff like that, like seeing how they framed something like folk music and made it so cool and relevant. And I also grew up on blues music so much. Like my dad loved blues music, and like Texas Flood was probably one of the first albums I ever listened to. And like that was when I was getting into guitar, so like all my guitar roots are like stuck in like blues territory.
Yeah.
With like Live at the Regal, Texas Flood, In Session with Albert King and Stevie Ray Vaughan, like I'm listening to those, and it was all kind of blending in this thing, and I was like, okay, I think this finally makes sense now. And then I met Josh, and then Josh got me into fucking bluegrass, and all of a sudden I'm like, this is the shit, you know what I mean? Like,
well, the thing that jumped out to me when I first saw you play at Tootsie's, the Tootsie's back room, I called Josh the next day. I was like, Carson's a great singer, but I didn't realize that he was like an actual lead player. Like he can play guitar.
Well, why play lead there? Why play lead when Josh is right there?
Yeah, but you were playing leads and like soloing and shit, and I thought you sounded great. And I even said to him, like, it's rare to have like a front person who plays guitar, who's like a good songwriter and a good singer, also be a great instrumentalist.
Well, thank you.
Because like Merle Haggard is someone that I think of. Like Merle, he was definitely a songwriter and a great singer. But Merle could fucking shred, dude.
Dude, some of those guitar parts are fucking...
It's complicated.
They're complicated. You know what I mean? Or
It's
even
hillbilly jazz.
Yeah, or like, you know, people don't realize Willie Nelson can fucking shred.
Yeah. Willie
You know?
can shred too.
There's even
Waylon.
Waylon, like, he rarely take guitar solos, but then when he does, like, that Highwaymen live album, Colin and I were listening to one time, it's the one where they're all clearly on cocaine because everything's so fast.
Yeah.
And, like, Waylon takes his solo, and it's like, oh, shit, didn't realize he could shred.
Well,
Or even, like, artists like Stapleton, you don't realize how good at guitar
Yeah.
he actually is until you, like, watch with him in live. Same thing with Sturgill.
Sturgill's great.
But he has,
dude.
can't remember his name, that lead player that plays with him.
Yeah, the dude from Romania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the same.
Estonia.
Estonia. I think it's Romania, actually.
Yeah.
But
Allure Yamitz. I don't know how to say his name.
yeah.
He's a great fucking player.
And then like my guitar, if I had to break it down, like my songwriting influences are entirely different from like my guitar influences.
Totally.
And then like my vocal influences are entirely different from those two. But
Yeah.
there is some overlap in there.
For sure.
But like, you know, when I was hyperfixated on guitar, it wasn't until later when I like embraced like the side of me that wanted to write like kind of like, you know, folky and country stuff where I got it more into, because I was, you know, becoming friends with Josh, who's an insane country guitarist.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's showing me all these dudes.
He
and
needs
I'm-
a Telecaster, dude. I
Yeah.
keep telling him. He needs to get a Tele.
I'm about to just fucking give him mine. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm on an acoustic guitar anyway, just take mine, you know? And well, like a lot of the songs he was recording, like Tomorrow, he was using my Tele, and then he used just Stratford Better Off in Blue. But yeah, like guitar wise, like, you know, sitting there, like diving into like Stevie Ray Vaughan, Albert King, B.B. King, you know, even like more modern guys, like first time I discovered Gary Clark Jr., my mind was blown into pieces. And same thing with like Jack White. And like, I love Consolers of the Lonely, that record.
Dude, honestly,
The Rack and
I do
Truth.
too.
Because it's so badass that like him and Brendan Benson, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
There's so many like cool style blends. Like the song Old Enough is a country song.
Yeah.
And then you'll hop into like Salute Your Solution and it's a punk song. It's so cool that they can get away with that. And it's like getting those songwriting like influences where it's like, oh, Jack White just doesn't give a shit. He'll do whatever the hell he wants. And I'm like, I respect that. And then like artists like Bob Dylan who've had so many
Phases.
Bowie,
He's another example.
I've never been like super into Bowie, but I've never like listened to Bowie and been like, I don't like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just never like resonated with me super hard. But like one of my best friends, like Jim, is a huge Bowie fan, so I hear it like adjacently all the time, and I've never been like, turn this shit off.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things.
Yeah.
Where when you hear it, you're like, all
This
right.
is good. I get it.
And especially as like, you know, it's funny being like a big Stevie Ray Vaughan fan and like him playing on some of the Bowie stuff too.
Yeah.
Which I didn't learn later.
Yeah.
Until I like.
But you listen to it
And then
like
you hear the
China
guitar-
Girl.
yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, that's clearly Stevie
You can
Ray
hear the
Vaughan.
tone. Yeah. You know. And then like vocally, like all these influences that like you think you want to sing as when you're younger, and then they change, or depending on like what sound you're going for.
Well, your voice changes too over
Yeah.
time, and
Well-
what you're influenced by changes too over time.
And it's weird doing country stuff now and folk stuff because I don't have a super low voice when I sing. So, you know, listening to like one of my favorite Johnny Cash song is Big River.
Yeah.
And I think the original of that song is an F or F sharp. I think it's an F. I do it in A. Just because that's where it sits. But like, yeah, it's weird doing like, but like I liked that with like the Dylan stuff where like, you know, there's a lot of country elements in that, especially the earlier stuff.
Dude, I love Nashville Skyline. That
Nashville Skyline's
album.
great.
I love this song. Tonight I'll be staying here with you.
That's pretty.
Do you know that one?
I think
It's the last one on that album. That might be top 3 Bob Dylan song for me.
really. You know which one I've been hyper fixated on is Tombstone Blues, off of Highway 61.
61 Revisited.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Tombstone Blues is so badass to me. I think the first Dylan song I fell in love with is Don't Think Twice. That was the first one that just like I heard it. It's one of those songs I heard at the right time. And it just clicked. And I found so much comfort in it. The Freewheelin' Bob Dylan is like probably up there in like my 3 favorite albums of all time.
Did you see the movie with Timothy Chalamet?
Yeah, I've actually watched it like 3 times.
Wait, so it's good?
I loved it. Personally,
I haven't seen it yet.
as big of a Bob Dylan fan as I am, I was very nervous. I didn't go into it being like, I want to hate this, but I was very much like skeptical, being like, oh, I wasn't worried about Timothy Chalamet because he's such a great actor. And like, I love the Doom movies and I've loved all the movies I've seen him in, you know. And I'm like, okay, I don't doubt that he can pull this off. I'm more worried about, you know, how they write this movie. And I literally left that movie after seeing it, and I was like, I would have watched another hour of that.
Well, the beautiful thing, too, about casting Timothy Chalamet is they could do a sequel to that movie like 30 years from now, and he can play Bob Dylan again. I just at a different phase of his
but
life.
I hope they don't, because I think my favorite thing about it as a biopic is that, like, it was, I like the constraints of the time period. You know, I didn't have to, like, watch him as a baby and, like, grow up.
Sure.
And, like, spend, like, half the movie of him finally getting to, no, like, the movie starts and he's showing up to New York.
It's a specific time period.
Yeah, I'm totally spoiling this for you. Have you seen it?
No, but I know Bob Dylan's story.
Okay, I'm not, like,
Yeah.
it's like you can't really spoil the movie because it's, you know, it's happening.
Yeah, it's music history.
So yeah, it starts when he shows up to find Woody Guthrie and he meets Pete Seeger, and then it ends right after he leaves like Newport, and it's like
So it showed
the
him
movie's
going
almost like a
electric
folklore story.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this dude that kind of invented, you know, a whole movement in rock and roll where even in the beginning of the movie, Pete Seeger's like, well, you're a folk singer, but he's like listening to Richard in the car and he loves the sound of rock music. And you can watch him in the movie starting to like piece the pieces together where it's like, you know, at that point, like rock music was like, there wasn't a whole lot of lyrical depth to it. It was rooted in blues music, which did, but like as rock music got commercialized in like the 50s and early 60s, it was very much like songs that are just very lighthearted about dancing or about something. And then all of a sudden you have an artist that is so
Writing a song like Desolation Row.
yes, and then but like even like the lyrical depth of like, you know, Subterranean Homesick Blues and like how angry that song is and how relevant it was at the time and putting it in a rock and roll context. Like that's badass. And that to me, like you watch like the progression of like rock music and pop music, like that changed the game. Because now we could take this sound of music that people resonate with and people love hearing, and obviously he even himself was captured by the energy of it and loved the progression of it, but was like, I'm gonna take this element of like more traditional music, I'm gonna put it in here and we're gonna evolve it. And then the rest was just history. Everyone else was like, oh, you have these artists that are making like these lyrical masterpieces but also like instrumental rock and roll pop masterpieces, you know. And I'm not saying that's all him, but like if you look at the progression of it like that,
He played a role.
Highway 61 changed a lot of things in
Yeah.
the way rock and roll. And there's all kinds of musicians that talk about it. Like there's the Beatles talk about that, you know. There's Hendrix talking about that. Hendrix was obsessed with Bob Dylan.
The Beatles had to smoke weed.
Yeah, and like you know them talking about that, and it's like, dude changed like the way like rock and roll behaved in the like the trajectory of like what was on the playing field of like what was allowed, because everyone's like, well, if he's doing it, you know, we might as well, you know, it's Bob Dylan, so it's like we should probably be doing that too, right? Or like they felt like they were allowed to, or like, oh, we didn't think about maybe where we could do that.
Yeah, well, he definitely influenced the Beatles because I think they met him like a Hard Day's Night, Help, that kind of era, where they were the biggest stars on the planet. And then they smoked weed with them, and then they did Rubber Soul.
There's also John Lennon and Bob Dylan, especially John Lennon, said that he would like push them a lot to like be weirder. And I think
I could totally see that with John
there's
Lennon.
there's a bit I read it like it was on like the pause, got all tongue tied. Me and my girlfriend were in Vegas, and it was the last year that the Love Cirque du Soleil show was showing in Vegas. It was at the Aria casino, and there was like a whole thing because that theater was designed for that show, and there was all kinds of things, and they were like showing interviews and like interview bits and like all kinds of written things. And I didn't know this at the time, but I saw a thing where the whole theme for that season was Revolver. So a lot of the songs in the show.
Oh shit, that might be honestly, it flip flops back and forth between that and Rubber Soul is my favorite Beatles.
I love Revolver. I think Revolver and Abbey Road are my two favorites, but sometimes Let It Be creeps up in there, honestly, for me. But apparently Paul and John played Tomorrow Never Knows for Bob, and he was like silent the entire time. He's like sat there for a second afterwards, and he's like, "Oh, y'all not fucking around now." And he was like had a big grin on his face, and it's cool to think of them like hanging out. But and then I read more into it, and like John was like talking that like Bob would always like push him to just embrace how weird he is, because Paul was, from all the things I read, way more of like a pop writer.
Totally.
And then John's like, unhinged as fuck and just, a little mentally ill.
Yeah.
So, and from what I've read, John and Bob were a lot closer than, Paul and the rest, like Ringo and George. But then George ended up being really close with Bob. Like, my girlfriend bought me a CD one year for, I think it was my birthday. Yeah, she bought me, or I think it might have been one of our anniversaries. But I have a CD player in my car, and she bought me a bunch of CDs. And I can't find this album.
Old school.
Shout out my 2013 Grand Cherokee. I love having a CD player in my car because I don't have to think about what song to play, and I don't have to be on my phone. But I can't find this album on like Spotify. I can find it sometimes on YouTube. But it's like an entire like, there's 3 CDs in it. She got it for me. And it's Bob Dylan with George Harrison.
Does it have If Not For You on there?
Do
you know
honestly,
that one?
There's like
You?
probably, I think so. There's like 50 songs, 50 or like 60 songs total. There's so many. And a lot of them are just like outtakes of them just doing different versions of stuff. And like most of the album, Bob Dylan's on piano and George Harrison's on guitar.
Oh, shit.
And it's like you can hear them interacting too. And like Charlie Daniels is playing bass on a few of the songs too.
Oh, shit. That's cool.
And so it's
so
like.
So was it recorded here?
I'd have to. I'll text you and let you know. I have it in my car. I'll look at it. But like even watching like someone like George Harrison interact with Bob Dylan, like, and you can hear in the outtakes, and it's just such a beautiful thing. It makes me so happy to think that like, as musicians we stand on the backs of like people that were that caliber that came together to make even like music progress farther, so we could have that available.
Well, it's the human story.
Yeah. And it's like as musicians, it's our job to push those boundaries the way they did. You don't want to like, sit there and fall in and try too close to just copy something. It's like, you want to take it and make it your own, because it's like, you can call it homage, but like you don't want to ride that coattail too hard where you're, lost to the noise and not original, because that's just boring. But I'm going on my Bob Dylan rant, but between Bob Dylan and the Beatles, we could sit here for like 3 hours.
I feel I love the Beatles. They were a really big influence on me, of course, too, being a bass player. But the band that, like, as I age, that I always go back to, that I love more and more, CCR, dude. CCR is truly...
John Fogerty's a fucking badass.
It's what the myth of America is. You know what I mean?
But aren't they from San Francisco? They were talking about being like from the Bayou, and then I found out they're from San Francisco.
Yes, but their themes are so universal on that album. It's so unique to the American experience. Like his kind of writing.
Which album are you talking about?
Across all
across
of
the
them.
board.
It's kind of like classic American literature, kind of like The Great Gatsby or Grapes of Wrath or something like that. I feel like that quality of writing is CCR. And the interesting thing about them too, they did cover songs that were like, they had some love songs, but they were covers. All of their originals were truly about the American experience. It was never like, ooh, baby, I love you, I want to be with you.
John Fogerty had a very punk attitude.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was Vietnam War, so it was like songs like Fortunate Son, or I think, I always say this, but if aliens came down from outer space and they're like, what does it mean to be American? I would show them Up Around the Bend. Like, I feel like Up Around the Bend is the American experience.
Dude, yeah. Cosmos Factory.
Great album.
Is one of the best albums ever. I was listening to Green River the entire time I was driving over here.
Green River is
That's
incredible.
a great record too.
Yeah.
What's the other one? Same with the very first.
Willie and the Poor Boys.
The very first one.
That's not the very first one. The very first
one's like the blue looking one.
Yeah.
It opens with "I Put a Spell on You."
Yeah, and it has, and that album is mainly all covers.
Yeah.
They only have a couple originals, and one of the originals is Porterville. Do you know that one?
Is Susie Q a cover? I've actually.
Susie Q is a cover.
Who does the original Susie Q?
Dale Hawkins. So it's originally like a blues song.
Yeah.
So you should check it out. It's the original's cool. But
as a blues guy, I should know that.
Yeah. But
I'm gonna get come at in the comments.
Fuck him, dude. You can't know everything. But yeah, CCR I have a deep love for, because I truly feel like there's just something about John Fogerty, and I got to see him a couple of years ago. I saw him at First Bank Amphitheater down in Franklin. Have you been to that venue? Dude, if you ever get a chance to go see a show there, go see it.
Yeah.
It's in the middle of this rock quarry. And whenever he would stop playing between songs, you're in Franklin in like the nature, it's just crickets. So
That's
it was
awesome.
the perfect place to see him at.
He's badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was on his celebration tour because he had just gotten back all the rights to the CCR stuff.
Yeah. I remember seeing something about that. They just had a bad. Was it just they got signed into a horrible deal?
They signed a bad contract.
Because I didn't know for the longest time that is that his brother that was the other guitar player?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Fogerty. Yeah. And he died in like I think the 80s from AIDS. He got like a bad blood transfusion.
Damn.
Yeah. Dude, there's a great on YouTube as a nerd, you will appreciate this. But it's John Fogerty and Tom Fogerty jamming with the Booker T and the MGs guys.
Oh.
And they're playing and they'll do like a 12-bar blues and then they'll be like, "Okay, let's do Proud Mary." And they would do it. And it's them doing it, dude. And so it's
awesome.
Duck Dunn on bass, Al Jackson Jr. on drums, fucking Steve Cropper on guitar, and then the Fogerty brothers, dude. It is
That's
sublime. As I'll have to send it to you. It's like 40 minutes, and they
Yeah.
were at Cosmos Studios doing it. Like Booker
Yeah.
T and the MGs was just passing through, and they're like, "Hey, you guys want to jam?" And they were like, "Yeah, let's jam."
Yeah, I think they like CCR when like you were talking about like quintessential like 60s 70s American bands like excluded from like solo artists, like CCR's up there
Yeah.
for me. That's a huge influence. That's a huge just like even if I was a musician, like I could I listen to that when I just want to listen to music. You know
It's
what I mean?
pure poetry, dude. Like
Yeah.
Ramble Tamble.
Yeah.
What a great fucking song.
Yeah. Who'll Stop the Rain is gorgeous. I love
Yeah.
that song to death. First time I heard it, pretty much brought me to tears.
Someday Never Comes. You know that
Yeah,
one?
I think so.
That's a beautiful one, dude. That was like on their last album. There's an album, I don't know if you know about this album, but so after CCR broke up, John Fogerty did a solo album that he released under the name The Blue Ridge Rangers. Have you heard about this?
I didn't know that.
So now it's out as like a John Fogerty album, but back then it was the Blue Ridge Rangers, and it's all country covers, and he is playing every instrument. So he's playing drums, acoustic,
That's
electric, bass, and they're all country covers. He does a cover of Today I
It's
Started
on a
Loving
Steven
You.
Still shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was good, dude. Yeah, check it out. You'll appreciate it. But yeah, dude, I have a deep love for John Fogerty and his music. I'm glad I got to see him. He's one of the.
That's awesome. I think, like, CCR, Allman Brothers, never gets old. Tom Petty.
Yeah, Tom Petty's great.
It's like right there, like those three, as like American like 60s, 70s.
What about the Beach Boys? Are you into the Beach Boys at all?
Yeah. I've never like disliked anything I've heard from the Beach Boys. You could say like the amount I've looked into like the Beach Boys is probably pretty normy. Like I've listened to Pet Sounds. And
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
It's never been like my favorite.
You know,
thing.
like the hits.
Yeah, I know the hits, and like it's never been my favorite thing. But it's like one of those things. Same thing I said about Bowie. I've never like listened to the Beach Boys and not enjoyed it.
Well, they have bad phases.
Yeah, it's just not like it just hasn't ever really like hit me super hard. Other than like a few songs where I've listened to. It's like. You know, it's like, how do you deny God only knows? You can't. But, like, I'm not, like, a huge Beach Boys fan. I listen to it sometimes just to study it. It's just because, like, writing harmonies is something I want to be better at. And it's like, who else better?
Than the Beach Boys.
Yeah. But,
Brian
like,
Wilson.
for me, it's like we were talking about, like, even, like, harmonies and, like, bands studying. Like, I can't believe I miss this. It's, like, probably my two favorite bands of all time. It's like I was saying, like CCR, Allman Brothers, you know, Tom Petty. You got to talk about Fleetwood Mac, and you got to talk about the Eagles because I think as the older I've gotten, I think the older I've gotten, the Eagles might be my favorite band of all time. I don't even put the Beatles in the conversation because to me they're like they're like omniscient creatures.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I don't even put them in the running because I don't even want to give them the disrespect of like, you know,
comparing
other people to them. You know, it's like the same way I don't like compare songwriters to Bob Dylan when I'm talking about my favorite songwriters because it's like those two artists are all in their own league. But it's like, you know, take them out, like the Eagles, like Desperado. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. Like, I love country era Eagles. And I love all the rock stuff later on, but, like, Desperado is such a great album. I love it. I love the first Eagles record. I'm not a huge fan of On the Border, but, like, One of These Nights, too. Like, that album, like, that album captures you within, like, 3 seconds of it kicking on. And you don't want to leave it. And, like, hot take, come at me in the comments. I dare you. Hotel California is not probably in my top 3 favorite Eagles albums. You know? I mean, you can't deny that song, and there's a lot of great, like, Fast Lane's on there, and, like, Victim of Love's on there, but, like, you know, it'd go Desperado, One of These Nights, and then, like, the first record, The Eagles, you know what I mean? And it's, like, those 3 records, man, I listen to, I'm like, oh, what the hell? You know, like, this is great. Like Desperado, like Doing Dalton, like that's an amazing song. I love Lion Eyes, Tequila Sunrise.
I like James Dean. That one's on the Border. Do you know that one?
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of The Long Run. I have this. If anyone wants to mail me a present, I'm trying to collect an original pressing of every Eagles record. And the only 2 I'm missing is an original pressing of On the Border and an original pressing of Hotel. But I have an original pressing of everything else, and I'm very much wanting to complete that discography. So I want Hotel and I want On the Border, and then I have every Eagles record. And it's like that, and I have a bunch of Dylan ones, but like I don't know if I can collect that many records. But I did find an original pressing of when I was record shopping with my girlfriend at this place in Franklin. What's that like big place with all like the restaurants and like shops inside?
The Factory.
Yeah. There's a record store there, and I found a original pressing of Dreaming My Dreams, Waylon. I was really happy about that.
Dude, did you see that there's a new Waylon albums coming out?
No.
So Shooter Jennings found a bunch of recordings.
Wait, yes, Colin told me about this.
Yeah.
I think it was kind of like one of those quick conversations. Yes, it was Sun.
Yeah, he found a bunch of just because he was always recording and always doing shit, but he didn't release everything. So I guess there's 3 albums worth of material that they're gonna release where it's all new, never before heard Waylon material.
Yeah, that's gotta be. I'm there. That and like the Buckingham Nicks release. I'm excited for. Tomorrow is very much me getting hyperfixated with like a mixture of like that first Lumineers record where there's a lot of songs that are kind of hinted at being country songs, and also like starting to get into like bluegrass. And met a great fiddle player named Julie DeGrazia that really brought that song to life. Josh's guitar playing is just...
Is this the one that I said he was inbred on?
Yeah, you're like in the most respectful way, your guitar sounds inbred as hell. And I was like, good. You know, it's like, I remember we were talking about needing that, like the intro, like the like, and I was like, I want it to like cause a hillbilly riot. Like it should be like what we were saying, it's like a hillbilly mating call.
Yeah.
And in like the best way. And you know,
Josh is the person to bring that to
and then playing
life.
that with Colin. Colin's like, we could do it faster, and I was like, hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I love that song. Lyrically, it's kind of like I'm being a smartass, which I kind of find funny, and sometimes just naturally my nature. And it's the same thing, kind of lyrically with Better Off in Blue, where it's like, I know I need to fix these things. I just don't know how to do it. So I'll do this tomorrow.
Well, you got to channel it through song sometimes first.
Well,
you got to work through the feeling of what it is to get to where you need to be.
I remember it's like, you know, people are always like, I wrote it in like 5 minutes, and it always feels you always feel like a pretentious asshole saying it. But it is one of those songs that like lyrically came together, like.
Some of them just flow out of you.
And it just came together in like 10, 15 minutes lyrically, and it was like after a conversation with my dad, and you know, dad's like, they give you the tough love. And my dad's like, you got to figure your shit out. You know, you're complaining about these things, and the problems are right in front of you. You got to deal with them. And I didn't want to admit he was right, so I got that out of my system, and then I fixed the problems. You know what I mean? It was one of those, I got my frustrations out about why I thought all that shit was
right.
Why I thought I was right, and like I got that out of my system. And then once it was out of my system, I was like, yeah, no, I'm being an idiot. You know what I mean?
Well, something in the world is telling me that I'm ready for a change. There's something about this that's telling me my new home ain't too far away. But I'll quit smoking tomorrow, and I'll quit drowning out my sorrows. Life can be so hollow, but I'll fix all my problems tomorrow. Well, I hate to lose control, but I think it's time to let go of the reins. I know pleasure, I know pain, but life has left me with some stains. But I'll quit smoking tomorrow, and I'll quit drowning out my sorrows. Life can be so hollow, but I'll fix all my problems tomorrow. Italy, Germany, England, and France. Wanna go to Europe, but I've never had the chance. $100 bills in my pocket would be nuts. Take out my woman and treat her all night. I don't wanna be something I'm not. I would stay here, but I think I'd ride. But it's alright. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. Bring it down now. It ain't easy. It ain't easy. bills in my pocket would be nice. Take out a woman and treat her under. Ooh, ooh, tomorrow. 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 Tomorrow, yeah. Tomorrow.
Well, fuck yeah, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you at?
Everywhere. I'm just kidding. You can find me on Instagram, just Carson Bull. You can find me on Spotify, Carson Bull. Tomorrow and Better Off in Blue are out. Right now, I got some other music from way back in 2020 when I was, messing around at my dorm room that you can listen to and laugh to. That you can go back and listen to some of the Overlook stuff if you want to hear some crazy rock and roll. But next single probably is When I Get Back Home. Depending on what day you're listening to this, is probably out, so I'd just go check for yourself. But yeah, When I Get Back Home, and then who knows? I might surprise you by releasing the whole record. You might have to wait a little bit longer, but you can go find the music anywhere. And, if you're in Nashville or anywhere near the South, keep up with the Instagram. We're doing a bunch of pop-up shows, and I'll be downtown or something. You can come find me. You know where to find me, too. You know where I live, so don't show up to my house, though, please. Or you can, but just bring food and something to drink.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Keep on dreaming. See you next week.